Hey guys, Khalil here, and today I am here to tell you that you do not need a real estate agent when buying a new construction home. First, let me give you some context. As I sit here and record this today, it is January 2022. Builders are sold out of current inventory. When something comes on the market, there's a line out the door for folks that want to buy it, right? They're not negotiating. The price is what the price is, and they have very limited options from you to select in terms of lot, elevation, etc. And what does an agent do if it's not negotiate on your behalf, right? Prior to the market we're currently in, our number one responsibility going into a new construction home was to help you get the best possible deal. That doesn't necessarily always correlate with a discount on price, but it might be something along the lines of reduced lot premiums, free options, a finished basement, those other types of items that for you are a real value, but for the builder, maybe there's a lot of profit margin in those types of things, right? If I can get the builder to knock off a $40,000 lot premium, that is something that's not really a cost to them versus a real cost savings for you. But if you do decide to do new construction on your own, which I do not recommend by any stretch of the imagination. You can do it, but you shouldn't do it, and I'll tell you why. Here's the reality. When you buy a new construction home, it is a 6 to 12 month process where you will have to make dozens of decisions in short amounts of time, and they might be decisions that are pretty standard. Hey, this is the color cabinet I want, or this is the flooring that I want. That stuff's easy and fun. I don't like to get too involved in that, but if you ask my opinion, I think I have pretty good taste. I'm happy to share. But what you do get with an agent is 24/7 access to an expert, someone who has the knowledge-based experience and know-how to respond to situations as they arise throughout the building process. Now, what does that mean? Building a home is unpredictable. These contractors that go through their home, they're human, right? They all make mistakes. We all make mistakes, especially right now when the supply chain is a mess. Labor shortages are a huge problem. I'm seeing more mistakes, more major concerns with new construction in terms of the building process than I've ever seen before. And when those problems do come up, in my experience, new construction problems are big problems, right? And when you do have that big problem, who are you going to call? Are you going to take on the responsibility and work with the builder throughout and figure out a resolution? Maybe you're capable, and more power to you. But what I like to think that we offer is peace of mind, right? In some instances, where an insurance policy you never have to use, right? The building process goes swimmingly. The builder's fantastic. The inspection brings up no problems. They're super responsive and wow, that was easy. And I love those transactions, don't get me wrong. But more often than not, that's not the way it goes. At least if you're being diligent, right? If you're a buyer who's maybe less hands-on, maybe a little bit more naive, or you tend to give folks the benefit of the doubt, you may be none the wiser. You might move in and realize, what is going on in this lower level bathroom? Why is this fan making so much noise? I mean, just little stupid stuff like that can really have an impact on your quality of life. But those aren't the type of problems I'm talking about with regards to major issues that come up with new construction homes. So I had a conversation with someone just yesterday where they walked into a builder community and said, hey, Khalil, the price is what the price is. They only have 2 lots available. They're not negotiating. Why do I need an agent, right? It's a reputable builder. I don't see the value in bringing on an agent. Maybe I could try to negotiate something in terms of a discount. So I said, maybe you can. Go for it. But here's the reality. Number one, they are not going to lower the price or offer you any cost savings because you don't have an agent. Why? In many states, it's illegal to offer a commission or incentives to non-licensed home buyers. Number 2, they don't want to alienate the agent community. So if they develop a reputation of encouraging folks not to call agents, or hey, yes, you have an agent, but you could do better without them, that's not a good look. And number 3, because something will go wrong. And when it does go wrong, if you're a smart, savvy home buyer, right? Let me back up a second. When someone calls me and has that sort of conversation, right? I don't think I need an agent for this transaction. I'm pretty savvy. I think I can take care of it. Tell me otherwise, right? And then I like to say, well, you seem like a smart enough person. You've done all your research. You have all your ducks in a row. But in my experience, it's the folks like you that are smart enough to know when you don't know something, right? But you don't know what you don't know. And we don't know what's going to happen in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months down the line once they actually start building your house. When a home inspection pulls up a crack in the foundation, they're telling you it's routine, cosmetic. We're saying no, that's not good enough. We want a structural engineer to come out, give it an analysis. And if you've ever dealt with structural engineers, they err on the side of caution. There's no benefit of the doubt. They assume the worst case scenario. And that's the builder's nightmare, is to bring a structural engineer, especially a third party independent one that represents you as a buyer. They don't like that. And unless you have an agent who A, is adamant in terms of escalating issues to senior management and getting these third party specialized inspectors in when needed, they might just convince you otherwise, right? If you walk into your your primary bathroom, we can't say master anymore. When you walk into your primary bathroom and something just looks off, right? The tile on the shower doesn't look even. The grout's messy. It's off center. You don't know whether that's acceptable or not. Maybe you're a first time builder. Maybe this is the first time you've ever built a home. The builder might say, look, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. It's installed properly. There's nothing wrong with it. It passed county inspection. We're not going to do anything about it. You just got to live with it. But what do you do when you get that answer? And if you have someone working with you as a representative, you have the abilities to call him. Hey, Khalil, this is what I saw. This is what they're saying. What say you, right? And I'll take a look at it, and my perspective will be completely different because I've been down this road before. I've seen tired subcontractors come in and just slap up some tile because they got to move on to the next house. And it's my job to really know what the fundamental definition of workmanlike manner is, right? Whenever anything is done in terms of construction, there is a standard of the way it should be done. So here's an example with regards to the tile in the shower. The contractor decided to measure from the corner out with regards to his spacing. So here's an example of a primary bathroom shower that my client identified as just looking off. That's all he could really put his thumb on. Didn't really have a good enough reason to escalate it or convey properly to the builder representative what the problem was, right? So I came in. And what actually ended up happening was that the tile was off center. The subcontractor, ended up measuring from the corner to corner. But if you know anything about tile installation, which you probably don't because you're not a builder, you're not a contractor. The contractor should start in the middle and you go out and the two end tiles are exactly the same. So in that particular example, we had the builder rip out the entire shower and redo it. It wasn't easy. They put up a big fight, but they ended up relenting. There's other issues with regards to, here's a good example. Over the last 2 days, I spent 6 hours in one home with 3 different contractors and the builder to address maybe the major issues, maybe they're not. We're not quite there yet, but what we did find was concerning. We found a slanted support pole, a toilet rough-in was about 6 feet in the wrong place, and plumbing permits and everything was done already. So how in the world are we going to get that line all the way across the room to the other side? And there was just a random pipe sticking out of the perimeter of the foundation that when I said, hey, what is that? No one had an answer. They go, oh, we're just going to cap that off, put a top on it, cement over it, and I'm not sure what it is. Like, that's not okay. Some people might accept that, and he had a good reason for it and said it happens, but no, let's dig into this. What is really the problem? And how are you going to fix that slanted pole? Is there a larger underlying problem that caused that pole to start slanting? Was it installed slanted? Is it a concrete problem? Is it a foundation problem? Is it a support problem? And when that problem does come up, would you rather be in there by yourself, working with the professionally trained builder whose job is to kind of push these homes through as quickly as possible? Or would you rather have me in there being the pain in the ass? And that is the value that we bring to the table. It's unpredictable. Sometimes we do a whole lot, sometimes we don't do anything, but you never know. And that is why, if you do ultimately decide to buy a new construction home, I highly recommend that you don't just work with any realtor. You work with someone who has a track record of selling dozens or hundreds of these homes, because you're up against some of the best trained professionals in the industry with regards to sales teams, builder representatives, construction managers. Their job is to manage people and kind of work them through the construction process. When you're building a production home, they're not a custom builder. They can't respond to every whim that you have. And I also tell folks that, look, here's an example. It may or may not be politically correct, so just bear with me. I'm dealing with a couple right now. It's a husband and wife team. The wife is good friends, and I've known them just now for about a year. And what I do know about her is that she's a perfectionist. She asks a lot of questions. She tends to be what my wife would call a worrywart. And the writing's on the wall that this building process is going to be long and stressful. It is. There's no doubt about it. Her husband, pretty laid back guy, super chill, doesn't seem to have that sort of personality. So I said to him, like, look, yeah, you don't need an agent when you buy a new construction home. But every time that she has an issue with the builder, or she's concerned about the quality, or she's not happy with the way something looks, or an inspector scares the hell out of her, she can call me, or you guys can deal with it together. What would you rather have for the next year and a half? This is a particularly long build process. We're talking about a custom home here. And he said, yeah, you're right. And that's what the fee is for, and that's what you're paying, because it's not a wham bam, thank you ma'am, 30-day close. It's a long process, and it's unpredictable, and it's a lot of money. And to top it off, the builders are not negotiating, and they are the ones paying the commission. I am not naive enough to say commission costs the buyer nothing. It certainly does. You're the only person bringing money to the table. But with regards to new construction, it's a little bit different, because there is it's a corporation on the other side, and they're not negotiating. The price is the price. It's not negotiable. That's what they say. I never give them the benefit of the doubt. A builder can tell me they're non-negotiable, the price is the price, until they're red in the face. And I say, well, we're still gonna try. I appreciate what you're saying, Mr. and Mrs. Salesperson, but I need to hear it from upper management. I need to know that this offer that we're presenting, or these terms, or these options that we're asking for, have been seriously considered. They've looked at the entire picture with regards to who my client is and what we're building, and they don't want our business, or they don't want to do it because we're asking for a free finished basement, or we want the lot premium waived, but on the backside we're going to spend $500,000 in upgrades. Then I want to hear from someone up top. I don't want to be just dismissed and not taken seriously. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. I have a home under contract right now. Asking price was $2.9 million. It's a new construction condo in Arlington. They said, no, we're not negotiating. We're selling for a month. Sorry. I said, well, we're negotiating. They said, no, we're not. I said, okay, well, here it is. Here's our offer. Either you present it and tell us no formally, or you give us a counter offer. So in that in particular instance, they did give us a counter offer. They gave us some crazy counter offer where they gave us a huge seller credit because they did not want to affect the sales price for future sales. So on this $2.9 million home, they said, we'll give you a $30,000 seller credit. We're like, well, what are we going to do with $30,000? My client was a cash purchaser, so he did not have that many closing costs. And they said, well, you could use it toward prepaying your condo fees for as long as possible. We were like, no, we want a $50,000 price reduction, not a credit. We don't want any limits in terms of how we get this money. And between my client and I, we said, look, ultimately, if they stick to this $30,000 discount, we still think it's a good value. We know what everything else in the building has sold for. At the bare minimum, we don't want restrictions on how you can use that $30,000. Because sometimes that money is just lost, or prepaying condo fees for a year is not really something that they're interested in. So to summarize everything I just said, no, you don't need an agent when you're buying a new construction home. Certainly don't. But if you're smart enough to know what you don't know, then you're probably smart enough to know if you are going to get an agent, get someone that has a ton of experience, knows who the builders are, knows their selling techniques, their building techniques, their objections, scripts, and work with that person. because that is the agent that's going to deliver value. And that could be at the time of contract, it could be at the pre-drywall inspection, it could be at the final walkthrough. Another true story, last month, final walkthrough, the paint was just atrocious. We were doing our blue tape and there was just so much blue tape everywhere. I said, hey, this is crazy. I mean, we could blue tape this entire house. What are we doing here? And they're like, well, don't worry, just keep blue taping it. We'll take care of it. I said, no, this is defective. They need to paint this entire house. And my clients are super quiet and they were shy. Like, okay, they just kept going with the blue tape. The first time I said it, the builder sort of dismissed it. Second time I said it, he started to get annoyed. He said, look, I told you. I understand that this is not the best paint job in the world, but just if you see something, tape it up and we'll take care of it. So then I started putting huge blue tape X's on entire walls. I started putting arrows to the ceiling. And I said, I'm gonna do this in every room, or you're gonna paint the entire house. There's just no in between. Whoever painted his house, was he drunk? Was he hungover? I don't know what he was doing, but something's gotta give. We left that appointment with no solution. We escalated to upper management. We talked to the sales team to figure out, what has been the experience with other folks and their paint jobs and things along those lines. Ultimately, they relented and the builder ended up repainting the entire house, almost 5,000 square feet in Potomac, Maryland. So that was something where had my client just went through without an agent, I highly, highly doubt that would have happened. They would have settled. Paint would have driven them crazy, and then they would have spent $10,000, $15,000 to have the entire house painted. So that was the value in that particular just instance that I brought. There was a lot of value throughout the entire transaction. That's just an example. I can go on and on and on with examples, but if you're smart enough and savvy enough to think that you could buy a new construction home, in my experience, you're probably smart enough and savvy enough to know how valuable a resource like myself, or someone who is a veteran in this business and who has sold hundreds of these homes, is to have on your side at a very minimal cost to you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or want to learn more, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks for watching.